Twickenham, the perfect place for the drama of a final. Time is up, the final play for Danny Milton's Archers in his first season as Director of Rugby. One passage of play, one defensive effort, one chance for a truly unimaginable victory that no one could have predicted. But to understand this moment, we have to go back, away from the crowds and the bright lights of Twickenham, away from injuries, knockout fixtures and league games. We go back to the beginning, to King Coed campus. We start with a new Director of Rugby and the leaders of Cardiff Met RFC.
To step into somebody's shoes definitely was nerve-wracking, but something I was really looking forward to, and looking forward to the challenge of seeing if we could take the really great elements from what Chris had produced and perhaps add a little bit of our own to see where we could go.
It was a great honour really to be asked by the coaching staff to lead the boys out. You know, my main target was to get that in the starting 15-week game week out, knowing that, you know, the strength and depth that we had in the squad.
For me personally, it was just having a good year. I think the season before I'd been hit with two pretty annoying injuries that I couldn't kind of wrestle off. So for me, it was having a full season injury free and putting in good performances.
Of course, it was hard to watch on the sidelines. It was something that I had to come to the realisation of, that it was going to keep me out for a while. So for me, it was just about getting back as quickly as I could.
The Archers began their BUCS campaign with a trip north, but would the season be over before it had even begun?
We'd had 4 wins on the bounce in the championship.
We just had to dig in really and produce a performance. You know, it's part and parcel of the BUCS Super Rugby.
I remember that first game, and you know, from the kick-off, Northumbria played at a different pace, a different level to us, and put us to the sword. And I can just remember me, Ian Gardner, forwards coach, and Di Watts, strength and conditioning coach, looking at each other, going, "Well, you know, what have we done?"
As Danny reflected on the 56-26 loss, the Archers returned home, and it was at a fortress called King Coed that they would plant their flag.
We had a bit of a point to prove, not just to ourselves, but to, you know, the whole league.
Even though it wasn't pretty and they weren't really high-scoring games, we learnt to win. The boys, you could see them building confidence, and especially those boys that maybe at the start of the season you thought they weren't necessarily going to be BUCS Super Rugby players, and then all of a sudden they're the ones being the star performers.
If you look at the journey of the season for us, being able to grind out a couple of difficult wins started to show the boys they were prepared to work for each other. Those performances, while ugly on the field, actually became a real starting point to probably the development and the journey we went on for the rest of the year.
And that journey included a measure of revenge as Northumbria arrived at King Coed campus. A game of returns as Aled Evans entered Rugby 1 as captain for the first time, backed by his team and a truly dominant enforcer.
For me, it was about taking my time and making sure I was right when I got back.
So to see him back on the field, knowing that he's a game breaker, knowing the type of character he is, the type of person he is, it was a massive, massive boost to the club.
Oh, look, Dom is a special player. He's probably the best player I've ever played with. So as soon as you see him come back in the team, all of a sudden it's kind of, you don't want to let him down. She always gave everything in that jersey.
If anyone else thought anything, that's for them to think, but for me it was just about going out and just getting back to where I left off before I got injured.
We knew how much this game meant to us, knowing what they'd done to us up there. Aled and I, before the game, were just looking at each other saying, we don't have to say anything here. It was just, let's get on the field, and we knew from the week before we were never going to lose that game, and we were fantastic.
Training would be high standard just because you want to have selection, and then the games would be at high standard just because you want to play the next week, and then, you know, it had a kind of a knock-on effect.
But we turned the corner, and we got back to the things that perhaps we thought made us special: the hard work, the energy, all the things that don't require the talent.
And with the prospect of a Twickenham final looming ever larger for the hard-working Archers, Dom Brandt's efforts bear fruit, as on the 20th of February, he announces his deal with the professional English side, the Harlequins. With his future bright, would the Dominator lose focus?
With how big it was for me at that time, it was hard not to think about it, and I think it got announced on the Tuesday afternoon, and then the next day was the game against Exeter. So for me it was about enjoying that Tuesday evening, taking it all in, but then come waking up Wednesday morning, it was about doing the job against Exeter.
With the game in the balance, Tom Morgan takes his place, centre stage.
My mum always said I kind of lived the limelight. She used to say when I played football that, oh, you just love people watching you, and it's kind of true. I enjoy that pressure. Yeah, there's nervous times and don't get me wrong, there's pressure kicks, but I think when they go over, it makes it that even more bit special.
Yet even while an Exeter scalp is being celebrated, Aled and Tom keep both eyes locked on target.
If you start getting carried away, you start letting standards slip. My job was to keep people's feet on the ground.
The team performances meant so much more, and we knew what we were building for. We were building for a final at Twickenham.
Twickenham just 2 games away. From this point forward, it's win the dream or lose it all. With the Archers facing their twice-beaten rivals Loughborough, the semi-finals are in the bag, aren't they?
If you beat a team twice in a regular season in the manner that we did, maybe we thought in the quarterfinals that the result would come, and I think we soon realised that that wasn't the case.
Loughborough was kind of a game where we kind of started focusing, look boys, we're 2 games away from Twickenham and we need to start producing on the field. As the games goes, it was a bit of a sticky encounter. The only time of the year really where I thought we were kind of nervous and didn't really express ourselves.
I still probably don't know to this day what it actually was of why we couldn't get over, but there are games like that. Like you look at them when we played them at the start of the season, we scored 5 tries with them and we scored 3 tries in 6 minutes in the second half, and we won the game in that 6 minutes. So everything came off for us. This time, nothing came off for us.
It's been coming for Cardiff Met. The pass out to the right-hand side, and that's going to be finished in the corner. Luke Northmore gets the try.
I think the whistle's gone.
And he doesn't seem to be celebrating. I didn't hear a referee's whistle, but he's bringing them back for the forward pass. 67 minutes. Oh, that's been knocked forward though, a rare mistake from Simpson.
We got to wonder, is it going to come back for the penalty?
And it's
Luke Northmore again.
He's been desperately unlucky in this match.
I certainly don't think we took them lightly. We played poorly that night, and if I'm honest, we got out of jail a little bit. Loughborough were attacking our line time and time again. We defended magnificently that night, and we squeezed out that victory.
It's the first time we've really seen the open side ball in hand. And that is full time. Cardiff Met hold on to secure a hard-fought but well-deserved victory. They make it 3 wins from 3 matches against Loughborough, and they take their place in the BUCS semi-final. Full time here.
A rough quarter-final behind them, the Archers look ahead to a semi-final away from home.
I wasn't expecting Bath to go away to Northumbria and get a result up there.
We had a tough job to do, really, to go away to Bath, and anyone knew all our focus and all our energy went into that week.
A game played with Twickenham looming like a shadow overhead. Bath took an early lead, but the Archers came with an army at their back. Were Bath ready?
Every team dreams of it, that everything's going to come off, and I don't know what it was. Like the first time we scored off a bomb line all season, we tried it 1,000 times, it never came off.
Met really piling the pressure on here, just 5 minutes short with plenty of field to work with. Dombrand back on the ball. Well tackled by Tom Doty though. Lining up on the left-hand side, short ball, and the try's been awarded, Tom Morgan.
Luke scored, which the week before he'd had 3 chances and they'd all been pulled back.
He's back there again, but this time Cardiff Met to go to the right-hand side. Step inside from Northmore. And he goes over.
Domers was just on fire.
Such a spring on him. And some fantastic takes against Loughborough in the quarter-final. Here's Simpson again, putting Dombrand through the gap. Dombrand into the 22. They're backing off him. He steps off the left foot, and that is a fantastic individual score. From the big second row, he's one of the stars at this level of rugby. And Alex Dombrand shows what he's all about. Cardiff Met 19, Bath 14.
It's one of those games that, as a player, you always dream of playing in. It was such an honour, like to just play in that game, and I'll never forget that game. It's probably my happiest memory in a Met jersey.
You could say someone didn't want me to play in the final, and I was really...
Tom Morgan, BUCS Super Rugby top point scorer, would not score again this season.
I think Dom has caught the ball off a line break, and probably the first time we hadn't gone through the line. It's weird now, I don't really remember kind of what happened. It just all happened so quick, and I managed getting the offload away to Ben, and the next thing I know there was just 3 cracks through my leg. I didn't need a physio to tell me how bad it was, and I didn't need anyone around me to. I knew from people's reactions and the pain I was feeling at the time is I was in a bad way, and at the time I saw my mum's face when I came off the pitch on a stretcher, and I'll never forget saying I'm sorry to her, and I still don't know actually what I was apologising for, and she doesn't, bless her, and I just could see it in her face. I felt like I let her down.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, captain, vice captain to two of the players that the players look up to, the players look around. To see them have season-ending injuries in that semi-final was hard to take. And on the one hand there was the sort of the pleasure around the success of the performance and the win and the way that we've played. But that was really tempered with the the disappointment and how the group felt for those two boys that night in what were really tough injuries, and it was tough to take for all of us.
And to see the boys walk in the change rooms after, and Harvey Scott saw me and almost broke down in tears, and Ben Williams was the same, and he just looked at me and he just couldn't say anything. And I think that's what showed how close we were as a team as well, is that you just lost your captain and vice captain, and boys there are genuinely gutted. I think that's one thing we had the whole season, was we were a brotherhood. It was, you're fighting for that man next to you is when it's tough. Well, yeah, it's tough, but there's a man to your left and a man to your right that is found it just as tough. So what are you going to do to help them out?
It put a big downer on the day, I think, because you look at the season and you look how influential Tommy and Alid were. Without them, we wouldn't have been in a position where we were. So to lose them in the semi-final and sort of know in your head that they weren't going to be there for the final was obviously, it wasn't nice to see.
Again, I think the way the boys responded to the players that night is a testament to those guys and what they brought the group over the course of the year. So yeah, I was proud, but that's what that group were about. And
Danny Milton takes home a convincing victory and the Archers' first Twickenham final in 5 years. But we must ask, are the Archers walking into the final, or are they limping? And as the team travels to their biggest game yet, Danny looks for a leader.
Yes, obviously when I knew Tommy and Alid weren't going to be there, I spoke to Danny and said that obviously it'd be a huge honour for me to lead the boys out. So in the end, he went with me, so not in the circumstances I would have liked, but yeah, no, it was a proud day for me for sure.
One last bit of fun with a surprise waiting for them at London Welsh, one that no one could have seen coming.
It was my dad that made me go. I think we were sat around the kitchen table on the Monday night, and he said, "Do you want to go?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I don't think yeah, I'm going to be in a lot of pain." He said, "Look, Tom, you will regret it for the rest of your life if you don't go down there." And he was right. The toughest thing was watching the boys walk out led by Domers, and that out of the whole day was the toughest part. And I was sat next to Alid and Meg Cliff at the time, and I just broke down a little bit because it was just seeing those boys out there so proud.
The Archers step on a piece of rugby's hallowed ground, prepared to go to war. But are they?
Yeah, well, obviously before the game we talked about starting well, and we did the opposite of that.
As much as I'd like to say that we didn't play well in that first half and didn't show the side that perhaps we thought we were, I think we've got to be careful we don't do a disservice to Heartbreak, who were fantastic in that first half.
And when I watched the game, I tell you the first half display was kind of not what we were about all season. We knew within the squad that the second half that we could go out there and put a performance in that we were proud of as individuals.
I'm pretty fucking excited, because I've been in this dressing room fucking 4 times when we've been fucking up in a game, and I've lost all 4 games. Now, that half has not gone how we want it to go, okay? It hasn't. But that's okay, because we got 40 minutes now to put it right.
Half-time came and went, and with Danny's words ringing in the Archers' ears and with the ever-faithful ultras at their back, the comeback was on.
Momentum's a funny thing. Once you get on a roll, it can be quite difficult to stop.
Ali got the ball and he's got great hands, and we had to try things. We were 17 points down, we had to go.
Alid Ward into the 22, finds Don Brandt out of the back door. Wonderful offload and a fantastic score. Jack Arthur turned it around. 22 unanswered points, and they lead at Twickenham.
If we tried things and they didn't come off, we can look back and say, look, okay, we tried. If we didn't do that, then we would have just gone down like a sinking ship. So we showed fight, and luckily they came off, and you know, we put on a good show for the crowd in the second half.
You know, the Domers out the back pass is something to live long in the memory for Jack to go over, and you've got a photo of you know, Jack looking up at the referee signalling the try, and you know, that's something we'll get blown up and put on the wall somewhere, because it was a great moment.
We got the lead, and you know, from the stand looking on was just kind of, we've maybe done enough to get this, but you know, anyone who knows University Rugby know the Heartbreak, always going to be there and thereabouts of pushing you right to the final whistle.
Their first loss to Northumbria, forgotten. Their gritty victory against Loughborough, forgotten. The crowd, the lights, the location, forgotten.
I had faith in our set piece defensively that we could close the game out.
Cardiff Met, third in the league. They lost it on bonus points. Will they lose the final in heartbreaking fashion? Heartbreak towards the try line, a metre short. The referee takes the position. The try goes up, and Heartbreak win it. Heartbreak humble the kings of King Coed.
All that mattered was a ball going down, a whistle blown, and a loss more painful than any before it.
Fair play to Heartbreak, they probably deserve that victory in that final. It's just annoying it probably came in that final play of the game. You say all season, win the minute, play for the 80, back in the game, and you play for 80 minutes and go and lose it in the 81st. And ironic, really.
You know, gutted we've just lost the Twickenham final, but more than anything it was proud of the players, proud of the staff, proud of everybody in the environment who put together a fantastic year. And while we hadn't got over the line in that last 2 minutes and hadn't seen out the victory, nothing would take away from what that group had gone through.
No, I remember it quite well. I remember when Heartbreak went up to get their medals and get their trophy and stuff. I said to all the first and second years, just have a look at them now and just make sure that's you next year.
I think for any spectator watching, you go, I don't think uni rugby could have played at much higher standard.
It was kind of a family feel within the squad, and fans that came down and watched us week in, week out. And as a rugby club, Cardiff Met, it's unique. You probably won't experience that again at another club.
As Danny and Tom say goodbye to the season, they reflect on their club and their family.
After 3 years, I think they're fed up of me. So I think that's one of the things that makes university rugby quite fresh and quite exciting, is you've always got this transition of senior players, and you worry, don't you? You know, you're going to go, right, so Alex Dombrandt, Tom Morgan, Ben Williams, George Simpson, the third year player, you lose them. What are we going to do next year? And then all of a sudden, the second years, that extra year of development, they step up, and I think that's why university rugby is probably one of the best places to be. You know, outside of the professional game, you've got people who are on that journey. Some of them are going to go to the professional game, some of them are going to go on to great jobs, and some of them are going to be great parents. And if we can be part of what makes that special, then that's great.
The biggest thing I can take from this season, and it's a thank you really, is to my best mates, and just want to say cheers to everything we achieved, and I wish everyone the best for the future, and I love you all, so cheers.